Hello and welcome to Preview Percy for the Hard of Thinking, my weekly look at our forthcoming matches for those of you who haven't got the attention span to read anything. So this weekend we've got Everton. They're having a strange old season so far. They're sitting in 11th spot with 28 points from 22 games. That's 5 places and 6 points ahead of us. The papers though have been full of stories about disgruntled Evertonians turning up at the training ground after the cup defeat to Liverpool, which is a bit odd really because their recent form has been, well, solid if unspectacular. Since they got thumped 5-2 at Anfield in the league encounter, they've lost just the once in 7 games, that being New Year's Day 2-1 reverse away at Man City. The remaining games in that period have seen them win 4 and lose 2. Those 7 games contrast sharply with the previous 11, of which they managed to lose 8. The change can, of course, be attributed to a change in boss. They finally lost patience with Marco Silva, and after a short spell under the caretakership of Duncan Ferguson, Carlo Ancelotti turned up. Daisy, my full-time personal assistant, with a beautiful smile, tells me that Ancelotti is yet to make any moves into the purchase side at the transfer market. There has been one departure, however. The German-born Turkish international Cenk Tosun didn't hang around for long after Ancelotti's arrival. The far from prolific striker, who's managed just the 1 goal all season, was shipped out to Crystal Palace, where no doubt he'll be going head-to-head with Christian Benteke in the who can score the least goals competition at Selhurst Park. This leaves them with 2 top goal scorers at the moment. Ancelotti wasted no time in bigging up Dominic Calvert-Lewin, suggesting that the player is going to be at the top in both England and Europe. I think that might be a tad optimistic really, but he has got 10 goals in all competitions this season. 8 of those have come in the league. He is joined at the top of the goal scoring charts by former Watford frontman Richarlison. He followed Marco Silva up the M1, M6 and M62, and although he did finish top scorer for them last season, the total potential fee of up to £50 million paid to the Hornets a couple of years ago still looks rather generous in my opinion. He was, however, on target during their 1-0 win over Brighton last weekend, so what do I know? They're likely to be without one of their brighter players this season. The ex-Arsenal forward Alex Iwobi has been rather impressive whenever I've seen him on the box. However, he's been missing for a few games with a thigh problem and is unlikely to be fit for this one, so he won't be able to torment us, which is good for us, if not for him obviously. Of course, we are at that time of year when the rumour mill goes into overdrive. If it's to be believed this time round, midfielder Gylfi Sigurdsson won't be an Everton player this time next month. He's clearly talented, just check out the goal he got against us up at their place earlier on this season. However, it's one of those classic cases where both player and club seem somewhat ill-suited to each other. It's neither fault party, it's just the face doesn't fit. It remains to be seen whether a change of club will rejuvenate the player, and it appears that Ancelotti may be less than enamoured of him. However, he did play the full 90 minutes against Brighton last weekend, and if he is in the shop window, he will be looking to impress, which could be bad news for us. Well, that's enough of them. Let's move on to the wild and wacky world of association football. If you ever needed any proof that PGMOL has its pension fund staked on Liverpool to win the league this season, all you need to do is have a look at the rerun of their defeat of Spurs last weekend in the derby, which was entitled the If Only Both Sides Could Lose derby. Scousers from all over Norway were up in arms over the suggestion that the multiple stream of fouls, some given, many not, in that 10-yard area either side of the halfway line was not somehow totally acceptable. What has become known in recent years as tactical fouling, or as we like to call it here, fouling, it's been a trademark of Liverpool since, well, the 1960s really. The failure to issue a yellow card or a red card to Robertson under circumstances that would have seen him sanctioned had he been wearing any other club's shirt just goes to prove that Liverpool supporters and PGMOL officials, a term that appears pretty much interchangeable these days, have no concept of the idea of shame. Of course, talking referees, we're going to have a chat about VAR again. The current state of play in this country is we've got incompetent referees who are not up to the job. Some of those sit in a bunker proving that no matter how many times they see an incident, they still haven't got a clue as to what they're doing. Of course, the irony is that the one bloody law they do seem capable of enforcing is that stupid double standard that applies to handball, for which there are now different interpretations depending on whether an attacker or a defender is involved. Surely, if you're going to punish an attacking player for what is not generally considered to be handball, you have to do the same to defenders. Anything else is just bonkers. And the fact that the powers that be didn't anticipate the consequences of such a moronic change tells you exactly all you need to know about the calibre of person involved in running the game these days. Nearer to home, it kind of escaped your notice that our owners have been appearing in every medium they can get their hands on. One might almost think that there's some sort of demonstration or protest plan for this weekend. The general tone of things is that they're disappointed things haven't progressed much since they took over, which I suppose is at least an improvement on the best stadium move ever party line that they've been peddling up to now. Of course, the interviews didn't seem to touch upon our current transfer policy, which seems to consist of sending Spurs on a wild goose chase to Portugal in the hope that they won't sign Joe Allen. Incidentally, do you remember that old comment that the club wasn't being run like a circus anymore? That's always perplexed me. Have you ever given any thought whatsoever as to the complex logistics involved in shifting dozens of people, animals, massive tents, seating and Lord knows what else, up and down the country? Maybe being run like a circus might be an improvement. So we move on to the events of last weekend then. I thought we were actually the better side in the first half, but we lacked cohesion in the second half. We seemed to lack attacking intent. The first half probably merited us a point, but it just goes to show that you have to take chances when you get them. We'll draw a veil over the stupid handball decision. I'm getting bored with that, to be honest. And of course our goalkeeping position. That just proved the old adage that at the moment, if it weren't for bad luck, we'd have no luck at all. Thankfully, Fabianski's absence is not likely to be too lengthy, but it was a right royal pain that the hitherto reliable Martin chose Friday night to have a Roberto moment. That kick out to Balbuena was bad enough, but then to see the shot squirm under his body, well, that was just depressing. For this weekend, Darren Randolph, whose medical started a few weeks before they started building Crossrail, will join the squad, and depending on whether or not we've actually signed a fit keeper, and stranger things have happened, he may well go straight into the starting 11. Whilst we're talking about injuries, in addition to Fabianski, we'll definitely be out without Wilshere, who last played before they started work on the Bakerloo line. Fredericks and Yarmolenko will also be out. It's said that Antonio has a remote chance of being available, but that chance is small enough to be statistically insignificant, in my opinion. There's better news of Anderson, who's had a sore back. He's rated 75% likely to be available as I'm writing this or reading it. So let's move on to the prediction. Well, there were times when we looked okay in the first half last week, as I said, but equally we seemed bereft of attacking intent for much of the second. I think a good start is imperative this weekend, and if we do take the initiative, we need to keep hold of it. But I'm not sure we're up to that level of improvement just yet. I'm not going to go to the full pessimist though, so I'll suggest that it'll be a point apiece. So the £2.50 I was going to send to the club to put towards the wages of a talent scout will instead go on a 1-1 draw. Enjoy the game, and remember you can find this in joined up writing on kumb.com, together with details of previous meetings and of course the legendary Percy's poser. Enjoy the game.